Today we are going to be talking about something very interesting and kind of underrated thing inside of Maya. And not a lot of people know about this, but Maya has kind of like preset library completely inbuilt inside of Maya and Arnold. Like before you had the mental ray inside of Maya, right? And you had like all these presets inside of Mia material where you had chrome, gold, glass and so on. So now in Arnold you have the same thing. And before I show you this, let me just tell you, like, always try creating your own materials. Don't depend on like the preset. This way you get to learn more stuff and experimenting. But if you're on a tight schedule or you just want to get the render done, you can quickly add your materials with this preset library. So let's get into it. As you can see, I have a simple scene going on with some one HDRI, and I have like spheres and some floor, and that's it. So I have no material on my spheres. I'm just going to go and separate these, right? Let me show you my IPR. So I have this. I'm going to go into my main camera. So how do you access your preset library? So I'm going to select my spheres and I'm going to assign a new material. Go to Arnold and AI standard surface. So now as you know, a default standard surface, you have the weight, your color and so on. Let me just turn this on. You have your color, you have your metalness, diffuse roughness and so on, IOR and some emissions, and you have like pretty much all the default setting and so on. Now if you want to have like access to those presets, all you have to do is go to this preset tab here, just click on it, and now as you can see you have like tons and tons of presets completely inside of Maya. Like for example, balloon. I'm going to select my balloon and hit replace, and as you can see now Arnold has replaced that material with all the settings that were necessary with, you can say, balloon. Even my emission has been set to 0, the port has been set to 1 and so on. So as you can see, Maya has all these completely inside inbuilt presets ready to use. You don't have to touch a single thing, you just have to click on your preset and replace, and that's it. So I think it's really nice, and I think it's kind of underrated thing. I mean, you have all these presets like so on. So I'm going to select another sphere. I'm going to assign a new material. Go to Arnold, standard surface, and I'm going to select something like a brushed material and hit replace. Okay, so if I go to like let me show you first this material, like preset brush material. So as you can see, we have like metal but a little bit of roughness with it. Like if I make it 0, you have a simple chrome material, but you have like 250, you have brush material. So all these values just adds up to create those materials, right? So I'm going to create one more material, assign new material, and inside of this, let's say I want something like my own, like let's try making something like this. Okay, I'm going to make a custom preset of mine, and then I'll see how I can like merge those two materials together. So in the specular, I'm going to make the roughness to about 0.2 and IOR to like something like 1.7. Okay, I'm going to give the code to 1. So as you can see, we have like this material, and I'm going to go to my preset, and inside my preset I'm going to go to blood, and I'm going to like blend it 50% with material 1 and 50% with material 2. Now the material 1 is the one I've created, and material 2 will be the blood material, which will be blended as 50%. I can also make this 75% blended, or I can make this 90% blended as well. I'm going to go with 50 since I want a 50% of my own and 50% of the blood. So if I click on this, as you can see, we have the in-between color of those two materials. I have the roughness value of kind of in between. My value was 0.100 or 200, and now it's 150. Now IOR is set to 1.608. Now if I go to an actual blood and replace all, as you can see, complete value is, the values are completely changed because the original value of blood is 0.100 and IOR is 1.5 and so on. So you can kind of like, if you want, if you are creating something like this and you want to be blended with a different material, like for example gold, you can blend 25%. So now what Arnold will do is kind of merge those two materials together. So either you can go for like full material replace, or either you can blend your own materials. So it's really nice. Now the next thing we are going to be talking about is glass. And this is like, I'm going to make another video on glass because there are some things you need to be understand when you're creating a glass. So if I make the weight one, let's go to simple glass and hit replace. Now I've created a glass. Still I'm seeing a complete opaque black sphere material, and the reason is because your transmission is set to 0, and transmission is kind of like opaque, transparent or matte. Right now, since the value is 0, our object is matte. If I make this 1, you have a complete transparent glass. Now there is one more thing to keep in mind when you're creating a glass, and that is to turn off your opaque. So select your object, go to polysurface shape, and in the Arnold tab you have this option called opaque. Make sure you turn this off. And the reason we are turning this off is that we are telling Arnold that the material I'm creating right now is not a matte object, and it's an transparent reflective, or you can say glass object material. So make sure if you're creating like plastic, frosted glass, anything related to glass or refractive material, make sure you turn off your opaque. So I'm going to go to another material. Okay, let's go to preset, and I'm going to select bubble, and again I'm going to like select different material, select it and turn off the opaque. There you go. So you have a nice bubble going on kind of thing, and I'm also going to be making a video on bubble. And as I said, there are a lot of things that goes into like creating these materials, and not about the preset, but you have to actually understand how to create these materials. Like for example, if I go to thin plastic, now what is making this thin plastic? Let me just make the transmission to 1. Now why the thin plastic is so different from the glass material? That was the reason behind it. So as I said, if you're like in a hurry or you just want to just get the job done, you can use the preset library, but I highly suggest learning all this stuff so you can create your own interesting materials. So let's see some amazing like presets we have. Like I really love this two-tone car paint. I think it's amazing, and you have some clay material as well. If I go to Arnold and preset, you have rubber as well, clay, and if you want a little bit of ceramic, I just love ceramic materials. Let me show you. And you have ceramic material replace. So there you go, you have all these materials. Pretty interesting. Definitely try all of these materials to see what kind of look you want, you know, what kind of thing you're interested in, so you can kind of like understand. And if you like want to experiment with this, you can definitely go into your hypersheet and select like any material you want. Where is it? Okay, let's suppose take this brush materials, and you can pretty much experiment with this. Now you can add a little bit of flakes, you can add it to base color and so on. So you have all these settings still completely as a brush material, roughness in it, but you're just only adding a kind of flakes in it. So definitely try experimenting with your materials. You can go into your hypersheet and just try digging in and so on. So you have clay material, change the roughness, and you have like a kind of bowling material. So let me show you this scene. So definitely try experimenting with this. There are a lot of presets here, but as I said before, make sure you create your own materials. Don't rely on your preset library. By creating your own material, you get to learn more stuff and like create new stuff and experiment. Just try to get as much as you can out of this standard surface or materials. So I guess that's it, and thank you for watching.